NBC5 News at 6 starts now.
Snipers on the roof as an alleged cop killer makes his first appearance in court, and only NBC5 News was there. Good evening, and thank you for choosing NBC5 News at 6. I'm Craig Smolin.
And I'm Kristen Husfeld. We'll get to that story in a moment, but first, more than a year after the 2015 car crash that killed 15-year-old Arian Chambers, the driver, Brianna White, was sentenced to 18 years in prison.
There were 3 other passengers that night who sustained life-threatening injuries when White, who was driving drunk, crashed into a tree. NBC5's Nikki Torres was in court today and spoke to one of the victims.
The judge sentenced Brianna White to 18 years behind bars, but for one of the victims, 18 years just isn't enough. An emotional sentencing hearing came to a head as we heard the dramatic phone call from one of the girls just moments after the fatal crash.
Please help me. Where are you at? I don't know. You don't know? What is the problem?
17-year-old Alexis Souza was one of White's 4 passengers. Her injuries were so severe, doctors didn't think she would survive.
This scar right here, there was no skin on my head to close the wound.
Souza's neck was broken in 2 places. An injury to her leg required surgery, and she suffered traumatic brain trauma.
I had to relearn how to walk, talk. It was basically being a baby again. I had to relearn how to swallow, hold my own bowels.
They're injuries that will affect her for the rest of her life.
I'll just be standing here, like sometimes I'll get dizzy random, and like there's some things that it just sucks.
And while Souza's life is forever changed, her friend's was cut short. It's that loss Souza will remember forever.
It's sad that a life had to be lost for them to finally do something.
Souza will still have to undergo several procedures within the next year as a result of that car crash. In Grants Pass, Nikki Torres, NBC5 News.
Nikki, thank you. Only on NBC5 tonight, the man accused of shooting and killing a Modoc County Sheriff's deputy makes his first court appearance.
NBC2's Lyle Ahrens brings us the exclusive coverage from the courthouse.
Jack Briner was taken into the courthouse in a wheelchair. Police say Briner was hit in the leg during an exchange of gunfire with the sheriff. The convicted sex offender is accused of shooting and killing Deputy Jack Hopkins with an assault rifle.
Jack was great. I wish I had 10 more just like him. Jack was a team player. He was smart. He had a heart of gold.
Briner's arraignment was held in the Robert Barkley Justice Center. The judge did not allow any cameras, recording devices, or cell phones in the courtroom.
He entered pleas of not guilty and denials to all the special allegations and enhancements, waived time, and the matter was put over till January the 12th for setting a date for a preliminary hearing.
While Briner could face the death penalty if convicted, California voters will have a say next month through Proposition 62.
That would eliminate the death penalty in California. So we'll know in a couple of weeks what the status of the death penalty is in this state.
In El Torres, Lyle Ahrens, NBC2 News.
Lyle, thank you. In addition to the murder charge, Briner is also charged with the attempted murder of Sheriff Poindexter and for being a felon in possession of a weapon.
After a Portland jury finds 6 men and 1 woman who occupied the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge not guilty, people are speaking out.
The defendants and their lawyers celebrated the decision last night, moments after the verdict.
It's overwhelming. It's all we hoped for, but didn't know we would get.
Prosecutors in the trial argued that the defendants kept federal employees from doing their jobs during the occupation of the refuge. Now, one of the jurors is explaining their decision. In an email to the Oregonian, juror number 4 writes, a college student, "It should be known that all 12 jurors felt that this verdict was a statement regarding the various failures of the prosecution to prove conspiracy in the count itself, and not any form of affirmation of the defense's various beliefs, actions, or aspirations," end quote. Meanwhile, Governor Kate Brown is voicing her disappointment with the decision. On Twitter, Brown writes, quote, "The occupation of the Malheur Refuge by outsiders did not reflect the Oregon way of respectfully working together to resolve differences," end quote. Ammon Bundy remains in police custody. He and his brother are still facing charges from a 2014 standoff with federal agents in Nevada. After the verdict, an attorney for Ammon Bundy was tased following an argument with the judge. He was taken into U.S. Marshals custody but has since been released.
A follow-up tonight, water woes continuing in Gold Hill.
As contractors make headway on infrastructure improvements, new problems are cropping up and the repair costs are draining the budget.
That's left council members scrambling to find more money. And residents aren't happy to hear that funding fixes may fall on them.
We do need to talk, so if it's not going to be today, we need to know when.
A handful of Gold Hill residents came to a special meeting of the City Council in hopes of addressing their concerns of what they call a lack of communication.
I had to find out about the boil order on social media.
As well as rising water rates.
That's one of our concerns.
I understand. We're already above what we can afford.
That's true, we absolutely are.
The council is considering raising rates as they try to grapple with failing infrastructure that is 70 to 80 years old.
The sewer lines and the water lines are too close together.
Consequently, a recent sewer project aimed at making some of those improvements has caused a ripple effect of water main breaks and boil water advisories that's causing headaches for residents.
Is there funds to
No. No. We have not done due diligence with regard to operations and repairs, and money has not been set aside. We're having to do that now, and there's a lot of unhappy reaction from the community, and I don't blame them.
The people that live here now get to pay for what hasn't been done for the last 30 years, and that's not right.
Cliff Mead says poor planning by previous city leadership means residents will have to take the hit, though the city says they're exploring all options.
We're looking to get some help from the feds and the state. We're also having to look at rate increases.
The more they borrow, the more we have to pay back. I mean, somebody has to pay for it, I agree, but somebody's got to be held accountable. I don't know why it's us now.
Who do you think should be held accountable?
I think the city should be held accountable. They're the ones who allowed this to happen.
The public can weigh in on the recent water issues at the next council meeting on November 7th. As for the current safety of the water, there is still bottled water available at City Hall in the case of another boil water advisory. But the city says all of the water tests taken so far have come back negative for anything. As for the cloudiness or unusual look of the water that was seen in pictures, we went to the folks at Southern Oregon Water Technology.
The cloudiness in the water is air. With plastic caps, you have static charge. So plastic is going to retain those bubbles where glass is not.
Bunker says flushing your lines is the best way to get air out, but she says when you have an entire system shut down, it can take thousands of gallons of water moving through the system to get all of the air out. Heavy rains in Modesto, California. Rain so heavy along some roads that officials were forced to shut them down, and you can see why. This road looks more like a waterway. It's not just the fast water causing the problem. Debris is clogging storm drains, giving the water no place to go but up. We've seen some near record-breaking rain this month. A new report by the National Weather Service shows rainfall in Southern Oregon is between 300% and 600% of normal for the month of October. And more rain is heading our way. For how much we could see this weekend, we turn to NBC5 meteorologist Adam Kolpak for a first look at the forecast. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Kristen. Yeah, we will see more rain and showers in the forecast, but this doesn't look like a huge storm system overall. But still, it will be in the forecast for both Saturday and Sunday. Take a look outside right now. Brookings Route 101 on the coast looking good. Got some sunny breaks there with those clouds moving in from the south to the north. And the temperatures on the cool side, you can see right now on the radar, most of the activity is to the south of us, western parts of Siskiyou County, and it is moving off to the north. Now here in Medford, we're fine, but later tonight and also into Saturday, we will have the chance for more showers moving in and areas of rain from the south to the north. Wind, not a factor really. It's only out of the northeast at 3 for Medford. Out of the south and southwest at 7 for Crescent City. Our numbers 56 for Gold Beach. We have 48 for Cave Junction. 48 for Doris, and 52 for Alturas. So I'm going to have the full details on the chances for rain and showers and even some snow for the mountains in just a bit. Back to you.
Adam, thank you very much. A Grants Pass woman is arrested after police say she hit a bicyclist and didn't stop after the crash. The Grants Pass Department of Public Safety says at 6:30 last night, they received multiple calls about the accident on Fruitdale Drive. Officers say they found the suspected driver, Kelly Kassan, a few blocks away when she was involved in another crash. The cyclist is now in stable condition, and the other driver police say she hit was not injured. Kassan is facing numerous charges, including DUI and assault.
A man runs into the side of Rogue Community College but causes minimal damage to his car and the building. The car wasn't speeding before the crash, which happened last night around 6:15 in downtown Medford. The driver, who may have suffered a medical problem that caused the crash, was taken to the hospital. Firefighters have to walk to a truck that catches fire after it bursts into flames while the driver was off-roading. Rural Metro Fire says the driver was in a remote location on Quartz Creek Road in Hugo when the truck caught fire. Luckily, wet weather ensured the fire wouldn't spread too far to the surrounding vegetation. The driver wasn't injured. Firefighters are reminding outdoor enthusiasts to use the buddy system in remote areas in case of emergency.
National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day was a huge success in the Pacific Northwest. The Drug Enforcement Agency says nearly 8,000 pounds of drugs were turned in Saturday in Oregon. Combined with totals from Washington, Idaho, and Alaska, the states turned in 16 tons of medication.
About 20% of people have already turned in their ballots in Jackson and Josephine counties. Jackson County Clerk Chris Walker says they won't even look at the markings from each ballot until November 2nd. They are only checking signatures for now. Signatures will continue to be verified until the day after the election on November 9th. You have until 8 p.m. on November 8th to turn in your ballot.
The Siskiyou County DA's office is taking a rare step in coming out against a statewide measure on the ballot next month. The DA is asking residents to vote no on Proposition 64, which would allow recreational marijuana in California. In a press release, DA Mark Andrus outlines several reasons he will not support the proposition. Some of those include environmental damage, traffic deaths, higher taxes on medical marijuana, and an increase in crime. To read the DA's full statement, visit our website, KOBI5.com.
Medford Fire Rescue adds a couple of new members to their team. They received these new fire engines this week. It'll take about 2 months before they're fully ready to go because technology still needs to be installed and special brackets for equipment will need to be built. Firefighters will also have to go through training to operate the engines due to a different pumping system.
Coming up later on NBC5 News at 6, a bombshell just 11 days before the election as the FBI announces it'll renew its investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. What both candidates are saying about the decision.
But first, only on NBC5 News, part 2 of our special series looking into officer-involved shootings. We're putting the community in the shoes of a police officer. We'll show you if their opinions on law enforcement change after going through several simulations. Stay with us for more NBC5 News at 6.